Okay, it is Wednesday, February the 7th. I just got finished doing a open mic at the Commodore. Old Mike Antosh was there, my old roommate from Maui. It was a lot of fun. Jerry Foster, who is 88 years old, and he is in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, was there, and he did a set. And I mean, he was decked out in a blue suit and some cool shoes, and got to talk to him and got to meet him. That was really neat to see him play for a little while, because he toured with Carl Perkins, and he's been around for a long time. Just something I'd like to do when I get old, just to be still running around like he is. But I've been very hesitant to talk about my dreams, my ideas, who I want to be when I grow up, if I grow up, whatever that means, what I want to do. One of the paradoxes of life is really looking forward to something and getting snatched away. So I don't talk about it. Hell, I even lie about it. I just do the work. I don't talk about it, be about it. I'm here in Nashville getting to meet and be around some of the magical folks who keep this industry going and who are the future in music, not the ones that were, the ones that were, the ones that are, and the ones that are going to be. You know, maybe a lot of them in film too. And when we talk, I just kind of downplay everything. Yeah, I just got here, da-da-da-da-da, blah, 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 blah. I don't really talk about life. These situations aren't just happenstance. People probably feel I'm just lucky, which is very true. Lucky, blessed, whatever. But where I am and who I am, something I've been working very hard on for a long time. Personally, I believe I've had a lot of help from up above. Lots of gratitude. Lainey Wilson has a song on one of her first albums, and the hook goes, I think my angels are working overtime. Her first album, so good. Middle finger. Everybody's trying to get high on something. You don't really hear those songs unless you listen to old Lainey back then. But let's go back to 2013 when I decided I was going to work in the movie industry. A hard business to get into. Actually, let's go back further than that, to 2009 when my dad died and my addiction to Oxycontin and Xanax took everything from me. I worked for the Baton Rouge Fire Department. That's something that I don't talk about. Which to this day has still been the most stable, fulfilling job I've ever had. I loved that job. I was so low that losing my job, losing my wife, losing my children, accepting death or life in prison seemed to be my future. I could not stop, and I had accepted my fate. Sick place to be. Over and over I tried with all I could, and I could not stop. That sick man, I was so sick, I was okay with being doomed. I was okay with being doomed. I mean, I was so trashed. It was, oh God. It's hard to lose a civil service job. Not many do it. I did. I managed to do it. But anyways, I put a few days together. Then I put a month together. Then I put 2 months together. And I said, if I put 3 months together, I'll get a tattoo that says, never give up. Well, I made that 3 months. And I got a cross tattooed on my arm with a banner that says, never give up, on my right shoulder. Cassie and Raymond were with me that night. And on the way home, we got pulled over, and Raymond went to jail with a brand new tattoo. He got out quick, but It's not a good time to go to jail when you just got a fresh tattoo. You're supposed to take care of those things, Vaseline, and they locked him up. But when I overcame that, I knew that I could do anything, because it seemed impossible to stop. So with that same attitude, now let's jump back to 2013. I decided I was going to work in the movie industry. I quit my steady job to go work a 3-month gig, and over the next few years, bounced between shows and air conditioning work. Got to do a bunch of work on the Fantastic Four and a few more movies, but my favorite show that I worked on was The Magnificent Seven, with Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke. Got on the construction gig, it ended, then I weaseled my way into special effects. There was a lot of people on the construction side of that show that wanted to go to special effects. 3 of us moved over to special effects. 150 carpenters, I think. I wouldn't say everybody was trying to go there, but a good bit were, and I got to slide over. It was an awesome time. I got to be the guy in the room making smoke on some of Denzel's scenes. The one particular one was when there was a earthquake or something going on. I can't remember it quite right. And the kids were in a room. And they had to make a kid cry. But anyways, I was up there with Denzel making smoke, and I got to meet him, because if you've ever worked on a movie, it doesn't always happen fast. I was also the guy pulling the smoke machines out in the field with a wagon, and when the church was on fire, they needed smoke, so I made smoke, and they told me that's not enough smoke, so I put the hammer down on it. And my boss came over the radio, and Denzel said, "We need to look like the church is on fire, not like Godzilla's burning down New York City." I even got to meet Chris Pratt in front of the church one day while we were doing one of the scenes. "Hey, I'm Brian." "Oh, Chris, nice to meet you." He had one of those pistol grip type 45 long rifles. It didn't have a butt. It's not quite a pistol grip like a 12 gauge that you see, but they're, I don't know, if you know guns, you know what I mean. And the thing that I remember he said, "I think everybody in America should have one of these." Really cool guy. I love the job. Then Louisiana cut the tax credits. I quit AC work to make my way in the movie industry, because Louisiana was big. I'd worked in New Orleans. I'd worked small budget, worked some big budget. It's a trudge to get in that kind of field. And then they cut the credits, so I was going to move to Atlanta. A few of us were moving to Atlanta. I drove out there, and while I was there, I realized that my wife did not want to move, my second wife. She wouldn't tell me that she didn't want to move, but it took me being there to figure out that she was not going to move. So I came back home. It wasn't worth chasing all of that. I came back home. Then the 2016 flood happened, filled our trailer up to the ceiling fans. A boat came. She had to have a boat to get us out of there. That's how fast the water came up. And I think we were the only street in East Feliciana Parish that flooded. Well, there's actually 2, one on each side of the river. But when the river overflowed, it filled up the bowl that we lived in. And the only thing that we got out of that house was a few bags of our belongings. FEMA paid for us to live in hotels, but the stresses of displacement tore us apart. I couldn't handle it. I fell apart. I totally freaking fell apart. And just in every way that you could think of. I lost that family. That family was gone. So I decided, since the movie industry left, that I was going to do construction in AC, because I'd been dabbling in AC the whole time. Movie business isn't 52 weeks a year. It's like turnaround work, probably even worse than in the plants. So you have to have another job. So it was movies, AC, movie, construction, bouncing back and forth. And I was like, screw the movie industry. I'm just going to do construction in AC. I got my LLC, Leichner. Leichner was the name of the business I opened. That's what I named it, Leichner. Started taking all the tests through the city and through the state to get licensed for air conditioning work. I stayed working for other people, doing side work when I could. And my uncle's house in Houston flooded, 2018, I think. And I was like, there wasn't enough going on for me to stay, so I went there to remodel his house. I was like, this will look great on my resume if I'm going to open a business. So I went there, ended up staying and working for him after the remodel, doing air conditioning working with him for a year. And while I was there, this is where life really started to get a little crazy and change. I'm a huge country music fan. Before I moved there, I did not really listen to classic rock. And old Uncle Stan really turned me on to classic rock that year. I'd heard it here and there, but I wasn't, a fan. I grew up a 90s country falling in love boy. 100%. And he turned me on to classic rock. And I was a big Bobby Bones fan. And I read both of his books, Fail Until You Don't, Bare Bones. And after I read his book, I was like, I broke into the movie industry. Now it's time for me to fail until I don't and break into the music industry. So in 2018, I started writing a lot. Like pages every night. Just these epiphanies. Genius. So smart. I started writing letters and sending them to people all over the country. Many letters to the Bobby Bones Show. Let me tell you, if anyone thinks 2024 Brian is a wreck, 2018 Brian was lucky to not be in a psych ward. In 2022, I went back and found a stack of my notebooks and read like 4 of the 1,000 pages I wrote, and I could not throw all of that crap away fast enough. It disgusted me. I'm sure I was the laughingstock of the Bobby Bones Show for a while with all the letters I sent. Oh my God, embarrassing. Chris Stapleton did send me an autographed picture back from one of the letters I sent him. I made a nice frame, mounted it on some deer antlers. Something that's pretty nice. I was happy about that. Then I started beating on all the radio stations' doors. I applied to every iHeart media position I could find and Guarantee Media in Baton Rouge. I had a few interviews, but nothing. But I never stopped. My brothers brought me on a trip to San Jose, California for some video game event. And the weather was nice. And people were living on the street. People don't really live on the street in Baton Rouge. I told them to leave me in California and I'd figure it out. I'd be homeless till I found a job and then I'd get a place. They tripped the hell out. They were like, no way. You're coming back with us. So I talked around while I was there, and I found out that harvest season for weed was coming up, and folks from all over the world came. They lived like hippies in tents on the side of the mountains for a few months, stacked their money, and then they went home. I was like, man, this sounds perfect. I was a stoner to the max at this time. So I rode back home with them in that little Civic, got home, purchased my Greyhound ticket back to Cali, my poor mother and my kids. Jeez. They're probably like, this guy's lost his mind. So I rode that Greyhound bus for 3 days, and that's a whole story in itself. Then I get to Santa Cruz. I find out that the bus doesn't go that far. People hitchhike, and cell phones do not work on many of the pot farms. And where I was going, they called it Murder Mountain. There's a documentary about it on Netflix. Or maybe not Netflix, but there's a documentary about it. Well, I seemed to have a problem staying out of trouble. And I was like, Murder Mountain, hitchhike, no cell phone. Surely I will disappear. I cannot go there. So my plan got scratched. I'm here in Santa Cruz. I'm not going to make it to North California, where all I'm going to need is a tent, and I'm going to pick weed, and I'm going to hang out for a few months, have enough money to keep on going. It's time to get a new plan. Threw about half of my belongings away because I wasn't going to Murder Mountain. Started looking for jobs, sleeping on the benches up and down Pacific Avenue. It was cold. So I'd sleep for an hour or so, wake up, move around, warm up, take a nap, freeze, wake up, move around, warm up. Then I got in a shelter at night. I got a bicycle. I worked in a warehouse, and I worked at the Best Western Hotel. I fell in love with Casey Musgraves. Still to this day, when I hear Casey Musgraves, I think of Pacific Avenue, West Cliff, the sea lions under the wharf, just walking up and down all those Santa Cruz streets. I was alone for the very, very first time and beginning to find myself. I did a lot of writing. Nonsense. It was what I knew. It was what was going on. And I was sending what I thought were marvelous epiphanies of music to people all over the country. Kind of made friends with Amy Page from the Big 98 here in Nashville. Called her all the time, which was a neat little relationship. I would call the radio station and talk to her, I don't know, every other week. For a while. I met Donnie Rocks in that shelter. I bought a guitar. And then I realized I saved up some money. I had enough money to finally get a place. I bought a guitar. I was about to get a place. And then I realized if I can land anywhere in the country and make a new start, why California? Let's go to Hawaii. I didn't want to go alone, so I flew with someone from the shelter out there. I hadn't lived in a house in months, and I was exhausted because I worked every single day those few months I was in Santa Cruz, just about. And I lived in that stinky, nasty shelter. Had enough money to get in a plane. So we flew to Oahu. When I landed, I decided to just be a beach bum until I found a job. No longer needed to be in a shelter because the weather was okay to just sleep outside. I was there a week. I had a mental breakdown. I just lost it. I did not want to live anymore. I hadn't been eating well. I'd been working every day, and I just crashed. I all of a sudden just freaking crashed. Because I got there, I got to watch the surfers and see Waikiki and went to Chinatown and rode bus all around the damn place. While I was there, I went to Aluni, I don't know how you say it, the resort. They had American Idol there that year. And Lane Hardy, there was the year Lane Hardy won. We'll get to that in a little while. But I met Bobby there. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I had a mental breakdown. I threw my phone away in a trash can. Went and laid in this place by the rocks where the waves are real big, and just decided to freaking die there. And I was like, just got naked. Came in this world naked. I'll leave naked. And I really wanted to die. It was a spot where the waves were crashing on rocks. And when the time was right, I just jump on in there. There's no way you could survive jumping in there where those rocks were. But before the night was over, didn't take me long. I was like, I'm just going to go back home. Went to get my phone, and it was still there. Called everybody, came back home. Went back home to Baton Rouge. Got back home, started eating better, pulled it together. Since I left, the guitar I bought in Santa Cruz, I called my sister, told her I wanted my Takamine back. See, I bought this guitar back in 2000 when I was 16, and I did not learn to play it. My brother did. My sister did. Now it's my turn. Researching music and my heroes the whole time. Writing letters and sending them all over. Beating on radio stations' doors. Meeting artists all over. Met Lainey Wilson in 2019 in New Orleans. I gave her a little note that said Angel. This is before anybody who knew who the hell she was. Lane Hardy was on a stage and there wasn't anybody watching him. Got to meet him out there in New Orleans at the racetrack. They played at the racetrack, some racetrack down there in New Orleans. And this, and then I saw him. Then I snuck onto the American Idol set in Hawaii, when I was back on Hawaii, and I got to talk to him, and he was like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I was like, "Don't ask." I got to talk to him after his set. It was really nice. I got to shake Bobby Bones' hand on that set on Oahu. I gave Mike from the show a jump drive because all of my writings that I did, I went to this place, and I got them to upload all my writings on this jump drive, and I was ready to write a book, and it was just so genius. So I had a jump drive with all this BS on there, realistically. And I gave it to Mike. I was like, "Mike, here, take this. This is some good stuff." And God, I hope Mike threw that away. God, I hope he threw it away. Anyways, I get my guitar back because I'm back at home. I get my guitar back, and I'm spending time at home. And I'm getting ready to move here. I take 6 guitar lessons. I'm writing songs. I'm getting geared up to move to Music City. Once I pick that thing up, I never stop. I mean, this is what, 2020, and I've been steady writing since 2018, every day. And I pick my guitar up, I'm still writing, I'm playing every day. Donnie Rock says, in Maui. Donnie Rock's from the shelter in Santa Cruz. Well, I figured if I move straight to Nashville, I'll never get to live on Maui. So I'm moving in with Donnie Rock's on Maui. This is where I met Mike. Mike was a roommate there for a little while, who was at the Commodore tonight. But Donnie plays guitar. I'll learn how to play guitar. I'll hone my skills in Hawaii before I come here to Nashville. So me and my guitar moved to Maui. I play every damn day. Every damn day. And I'm not even going to talk about the hell on earth it was moving to Maui. Yeah, it's a great place, blah, 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 but, it's not easy to move out there. I mean, you're going to get raped. I got raped. And it was so hard that I was like, I'm not going to leave here until I feel like it's okay. They were like, most people don't last 6 months. Then I made it 6 months. They were like, most people don't last a year. Well, I made it almost 2 years. And it was it's like Bobby said, fail until you don't. I met Mick Fleetwood at Gilligan's where I worked. I swear Slash was there for a Halloween party. Met Paul Simon. He would come in occasionally. I started doing stand-up comedy there. Realized how hard that is. Oh my God, another story. Started doing open mics. It was terrible, my comedy and my open mics, but I never stopped. I got bad advice 9-1. And I usually listen to the bad advice. People would teach me how to play songs totally freaking wrong. Totally freaking wrong. I never had anybody steer me the right way. So I have a hard time believing something good even when it's happening. I don't talk about goals. Because when I talked about events, if you're like, oh, this is, I want to go get a hot dog today on Broadway. You already know. I swear, it still happens. Sometimes look forward to a hot dog on Broadway. I dare you. If you look forward to something, it won't be there. It's everyone. You know what I mean. It happens. Life has been very, very, very trying for all of us through this pandemic. Me coming here has been something I have consistently worked, and I mean worked on for 6 years now. Part of me dreads meeting some of the people I used to be excited about meeting because of the crazy nonsense that I've mailed out. One thing I do know, and I do know this, highly successful people understand the pressure life applies, and they do not hold it against you. They understand the crazy of life's journey. I have to be okay with who I was. I have to be able to laugh at old me. I think all of us can laugh at our younger selves, who we were, how we thought, what used to hurt us, what we thought was important. But most importantly, that we cannot trust our crazy side. Our insecure, self-pity side has to be fought by our secure side. So me being here for 3 months isn't really 3 months. I've been making a ruckus to folks in this town for 6 years. People have received letters and postcards from Texas, Louisiana, California, Maui, Oahu. People in this town have been receiving mail from me for 6 years. And really, they're probably like, this guy's a nut job. Which is not false. It's not false. It's not false. Music is my world. And I think this world needs another movie like old Pure Country with a timeless soundtrack. The best movies have the best soundtracks. So keep it country and rock on. And that's the road to Nashville. Peace out.